Oh, hello there. Yes, well, that was the weekend, wasn't it? Yes. Anyway, there didn't seem to be a lot happening this weekend. I mean, apart from the, ongoing nastiness of genocide in Gaza and the looming threat of war and ecological collapse because of climate damage. But apart from that, there didn't really seem to be a lot going on. So I thought I'd utilise my time today just simply having a go at a bunch of grifters in one way or another. I was a bit disappointed yesterday because somebody decided to like one of my Posey Parker videos, which means I may never get to see it going into minus figures. Come on, guys, keep up. I do try and engage with people in the comments just to, see if they're going to dislike it more, but nobody wants to bite. Anyway, talking of blindingly stupid things to do, there's James Liney, who was somebody I've never met before on GB News. It left me somewhat in a quandary because he posted up that he'd been to see Jonathan Pye's stage show and, to quote, left feeling slightly offended after he called all Tory voters knuts, called all private school kids knuts, called Prince Charles a knut in the same week as his cancer diagnosis. Think carefully before paying for his pricey tickets. Yes, indeed. Now, the problem, of course, is that one is left astounded that somebody would go and pay 25 quid, yeah, I checked, to go and see Jonathan Pye without knowing anything about him. I mean, what was James expecting? That it would be different from the stuff he'd seen on YouTube? Possibly. Yeah, that he'd perhaps come on the stage and not have a sort of whole roster of adult themes primarily around politics. But then I did spot that the stage show is designed for 16 plus, and I'm not entirely sure that James meets that. Perhaps that's his problem. No, of course not. It's just yet another way of having a go at somebody that is vaguely left-wing. And by vaguely, I mean not really at all, because that's as kind of centrist comedy as you can possibly get, isn't it? It's not really edgy or out there, unless you're James, of course, and you have to go home and say to your mum about what the bad man had said. Then we had a kind of absolutely farcical racist debate, in inverted commas, on the GB News' breakfast show in the morning. So we then ended up people having, sort of meltdowns about the fact that a black woman whose grift is that she's a black woman and she's allowed to get cross because having been obviously inevitably once again set up with an all-white panel with people telling her she doesn't understand racism, she was fully entitled to storm off because people don't understand racism. Yeah, so much. I mean, that's kind of her job, and it enables GB News to say that they've had a black person on and she can act as everybody's bogey person. So, there, everyone wins, don't they? Except, of course, it enabled various people to sort of pile on. So we had, for example, a couple of the Lotus Eaters. Yeah, the great boys there piling on. So we had Carl saying, why doesn't GB News require a standard of decorum from its guests? It's important to debate these issues so the public can understand. But this woman is acting like a child towards the other guests. The host should have stepped in and reprimanded her. Which, for those of you that know anything about Carl Benjamin's past, is what we might call a bit rich, especially for him to berate a woman of colour over standards in public life. You can't really make it up. But then it got even better because Connor Tomlinson, yeah, everybody's favourite 12-year-old who probably shouldn't go and see a Jonathan Pye concert or any form of entertainment which is slightly adult, he should stick with Doctor Who. Oh no, sorry, he can't, can he? Because it's been ruined from his childhood. Anyway, he decided to wade in as well. And I thought it was worthwhile reading this in full, because if ever, you come across that phrase of the pot calling the kettle black, you should think of Connor Tomlinson, because this is a doozy. Right, here we go. I understand that Ofcom mandates balance on broadcast channels. But could we not platform and pay anti-white racists? Yeah, imagine going on TV shows and racists being paid for their opinions. Connor? There is no value in these conversations. No, our country is not racist. This is very true, Connor. It's just individual citizens like you, mate. There is no, we should not take accusations from disingenuous grifters as substantive criticisms. Yes, disingenuous grifters, these people who simply make money out of, their opinions. Yeah, Connor, yeah, there is no purpose in relitigating this issue because the accusation is untrue and because narcissists like Aiton will never be happy until she's taken everything from you. There you go, you see, no racism there, but then black people, they want your stuff. Yeah, I can't see any racism there. Neither can Connor, because Connor, of course, is in that beautiful, sweet sort of sitcom style spot whereby racism doesn't exist if you just put your fingers in your ears and hum. Yes, she smiles like a Cheshire cat because she knows she's making a living speaking obvious absurdities, which I think should be GB News' new strapline, or maybe the Lotus Eaters, yeah? Making a living speaking obvious absurdities. In this interview, she claims that the act of brain categorizing different things, I don't even understand what that means, is itself a form of racial prejudice which requires redress. To claim that the process by which human beings make sense of the world is proof of racial hatred is to aim at the denial of human thought and reality. Yes, yeah, and of course, if you want to see the whole denial of human thought and reality, you could just watch Connor and the boys in the afternoon discussing Marvel Comics or whatever their latest trip is to the British Museum to see artefacts that have nothing to do with them. Yeah, that might be an idea. It is impossible, an undesirable goal, but she'll settle for having the ability to make a living berating you in the meantime. Yes, and I wonder what Connor Tomlinson's job is. Yes, and best not to go there. Yes, so, just to finish up, isn't it convenient that the redistribution of wealth and power to her and her friends is the solution to every problem? Yeah, except of course she hasn't actually said that, and Connor just wants that to be the case, because otherwise his collection, carefully cultivated of Marvel Comics, might be taken by a black person. Not that there's such a thing as racism, you understand, though. It's completely made up. It's a grift, weaponising the woolly liberal sentiments of polite English people against themselves for personal gain. Again, could serve as a perfect strapline for GB News, or Connor Tomlinson, or Benjamin, or the Lotus Eaters, or indeed any of them, realistically, couldn't it? Please, to the other colleagues I respect at GB News, let this be the last one that anyone this malevolent, I can't even say it, is heard from. Indeed, yes, and once again we don't get any full stops from him. Of course we don't. Yes, and there were a couple of others as well which caught my eye. There was Toby Young, who seemed to suggest that somebody making anti-Semitic remarks who was cleared at a medical tribunal shouldn't have been. And I can only believe that that's because they were anti-Semitic after all. Toby's very keen on people speaking their mind and winning tribunals. It's what the Free Speech Union is set up for. Just the wrong ones, isn't it? And I do like the fact that the Daily Sceptic have managed to put Doctor Who there. Yeah, Doctor Who. I love that. Yes, I wonder if it's the new one. The one that doesn't mind trans people and is the wrong sort of doctor. Could it be him? Don't know. And finally, way out there is this. I'll leave a link below. Please do watch this. This really made me smile, right? ULEZ protester blasts Sadiq Khan as crowds demonstrate in Sutton. Can't do anything but lie. Yes, indeed. Now, I'm guessing that GB News sent a camera crew out to catch ULEZ protesters in Sutton, right? The problem is that if you watch the video, there's 4 of them. possibly 5, but I really don't think it is. I think there's 4 of them. Crowds demonstrate. Crowds. Yeah, can't do anything but lie. GB News. Farcical, as ever, all of them. I don't know these people. I would dread to think in 100 years' time when people look back at the ephemera from our era and come across this kind of stuff. And if we manage to live that long and pull ourselves out of this increasingly fascistic hellhole, by God, we'll have to say we're not going to do that again. Until, of course, vested interests decide to invest in all the money that they can in persuading people to hate each other. Anyway, do have a really good Monday if you can, and watch out for those crowds out there. Sometimes there's more than 3.